We are tracking a big story developing in Washington, and it could end up producing significant political fallout as the days and weeks pass by. One of the Navy SEALs on the mission to kill Osama bin Laden now says he wants to, quote, set the record straight about one of the most important missions in U.S. military history. He has written a book due out in a couple of weeks entitled No Easy Day, the biography of a Navy SEAL. While we do not know what is in the book, we do know it was not cleared by the Pentagon or the Department of Defense. Captain Pete Hegseth of Concerned Veterans for America is a captain in the Army National Guard and a veteran of Iraq, Afghanistan, and Guantanamo Bay. Welcome back to the program, sir.
Thanks for having me, Megan.
So this Navy SEAL, it's not just any Navy SEAL. He is said to be one of the leaders of the operation that took out Osama bin Laden. And the reason the book is so controversial, even though he is now a former Marine, former Navy SEAL, he's retired, is that he did not clear it through the DOD, which he is supposed to do. We checked the guidelines. It seems pretty clear you need to do that because they're supposed to be given the right to see whether any national security information is being compromised in such a memoir. He didn't do it. Why do you think he didn't, Pete?
Well, he probably should have, but I think you go to the higher level of, if anyone's earned their First Amendment right, it's a guy like this with 13 tours, who was one of the first guys on the third floor in bin Laden's compound. He was part of the ones that saved the captain from the Somali pirates by putting a couple bullets in the head of the pirates. This is a guy who's highly decorated, has accomplished a great deal, seen a lot, and he's taken, it looks like, from what I've read, he's taken precautions to make sure he doesn't compromise things. He's not showing his identity. In the book, he's not revealing any identities. I would think this is the kind of guy who's not going to pour 13 tours after 9/11 into uniform and then disparage it once he get out. I just think he, in his core, he probably wants to set the record straight. Imagine where he's sitting. Imagine what he's watching. Imagine what he's seen with the leaks we've seen out of Washington. He's just sitting there going, hey, man, I was there. I saw it. I want to talk about it. He probably should have cleared it, and hopefully he'll get a chance to do that because we don't want to compromise these types of secrets. But this kind of guy strikes me as the kind of guy who's going to shoot straight and not compromise the lives of his fellow SEALs.
It certainly has a record of doing exactly that. I mean, if there's anybody you want to give the benefit of the doubt to, it's someone with this kind of a record. The publisher of the book says that it was vetted by, quote, a former special operations attorney for tactical, technical, and procedural information, as well as information that could be considered classified and so on, and that person found it to be without risk to national security. Now, that is not the same as giving it to the Pentagon as this Navy SEAL was supposed to do. My feeling, you tell me, Pete, is that there must have been a reason he didn't put it. This guy with such a service record, there must be a reason he didn't give it to DOD. Perhaps he felt that they would overly edit it. Perhaps he had something he wanted to say directly to the American people. The question is, what might that be, and could there be some political fallout to this?
Yeah, I mean, we're only speculating, but hey, maybe he feels like it's all already been said. What hasn't been leaked about the bin Laden raid yet, except from someone who is directly involved? My goodness, he looks at what was talked about following that raid. There was a movie that was supposed to come out about it in October that's been delayed. He's probably sitting back saying, everyone's spilled their guts already. Half of it's right, half of it's wrong, and a lot of it's politically motivated. And a guy like this is saying, cut the BS, cut through it. I can't take it anymore. I want to tell my side of the story. I'm going to make sure my operator community knows why I'm doing it, that I vet it through a lawyer that understands what secrets really are and what it means to keep them. But otherwise, I'm going to set the record straight. Time now, because we can't wait any longer as people use leaks and other things for political purpose. This guy strikes me as a straight shooter, and I think that's probably what he's doing. Now
there's a question about whether he could be prosecuted for doing this. That threat has not been made by any officials. It's just a question that's out there once you violate the DOD regulations like this. We're going to talk about that a little later in the program. But my question to you is, what kind of a position would that put the administration in? Because any prosecution would have to come out of the Department of Justice if they decided to go after not only a Navy SEAL, but the Navy SEAL, who was one of the leaders of the takedown of Osama bin Laden, not to mention the other accomplishments you mentioned. What kind of position is that for them to be in, to have to go after somebody like that?
Regardless of the legalities, good luck with that. I'm not a presidential level political strategist, but I'd be surprised if they want the narrative going forward to be, President's Justice Department goes after Navy SEAL who was in the door and shot bin Laden. I don't think that's a fight they want to pick, especially in light of what some groups have been doing to talk about and highlight the security leaks, that they just don't get it. They don't get the fact that this is, and you can tie it back to other things, whether it's military voting and this lawsuit in Ohio. You've got a lot of veterans out there kind of scratching their heads saying, how does this all add up to what we expect from our leadership? So I'd be surprised if they brought the hammer down on a guy like this.
But they have to worry about protecting classified information, and I know a lot of people believe maybe they have leaked some information, but they have to worry on a larger scale about protecting classified information or information that could be classified. And on a separate note, they had the chairman of the Joint Chiefs come out this week and tell Fox News he thinks that it is not helpful to have even former Navy SEALs, like we saw on that ad that went after the president earlier this week and last. He said it's not helpful because it confuses the American people. They're supposed to look at the military and not think about political, persuasions.
Sure. I mean, I respect his opinion, and I understand where he's coming from as a general. And there's a long line of generals who have said we're not going to get involved in politics. At the same time, you fight for freedoms over there that you want to preserve over here. And when you come back having served and raised your right hand to defend the Constitution, you want to come back here and say, too much is at stake. I want to be a part of this conversation. So being in the military shouldn't preclude you from getting involved in the public discussion. It should be even more of a reason to do so. But there is a responsibility that comes with it to make sure you're careful about how you articulate it. You don't use it just for political gain. This guy's giving away the money that he gets for the book. He doesn't want to expose himself. He's not going to expose the other members of these raids to put sources and methods compromise them. I don't think he's doing it because he wants to run for office. I think he's doing it because he's got an angst inside that he's got to get out. Yeah, he's giving all the profits, as you mentioned, to charity, and he says it's the story of the guys, the human toll we pay, and the sacrifices we make to do this dirty job. Captain Pete Hegseth, always a pleasure seeing you. Thanks so much, my friend. Thanks, Megan. Well, we spoke with sources in the Pentagon earlier today who said there are strict rules and regulations about books like this. I referenced some of them. And this Navy SEAL could be prosecuted. Kelly's court takes up that question coming up. Plus, new questions about whether the president